Hello everybody, Old Man Crypto here, trying to take the intimidation out of crypto for us old folks. Today I'm going to go over my charting on Bitcoin. People are asking me what I think about a good entry point to be, and I'm going to show you how I got there, and then you make the decisions for yourself. Stay tuned. Okay. So to start with, this is tradingview.com, and it is a free charting website. You can upgrade to get some more tools in here, but the available tools are really pretty useful, so I don't think you really need to upgrade unless you want to have a whole bunch of different indicators going on at the same time. So let me just tell you how I've charted this out and see if we're in agreement here. What I've done is I've used a 6-hour candle. So for those of you that know, I'll go through some of the basics, but I'm not going to go through all of these things. Each one of these candles represents a 6-hour time period, okay? And the green and the red show which way the volume was going during that time, okay? And the reason that I use 6 hours is because the crypto market is a 24-hour market. I've just broken it up into 4 different kind of chunks. Since, you know, like when we're in the United States sleeping, most of us aren't buying, but there are people out in other countries buying at this when we're sleeping. So that's the first thing. I've got it set up into 6-hour candles here. I've got this red trend line set up on a weekly basis, so this is kind of overall during the week what the trend looked like. And then that again, that candle that you're seeing there is 6 hours. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken the Fibonacci, and that just basically gives us an indication of, you know, kind of the waves or the cycles that this is going through. And I've set them up on where that 6-hour crossed over down and where it crossed over back kind of up to the positive. Now we could potentially take this, you know, out to here, and that could give us a little bit of an indicator as well. So I'll leave it there for now. And you can see here is where we dropped down under that weekly average on that day. We dropped down below the weekly average, and we had a little fake. We touched off here, had a little fake out there, a little fake out there, came back down. Now we've crossed back over in here, but we've also crossed back down in here. So to me, this is a little bit of a pivotal point because we could cross back up over it in here somewhere. But I'm going to show you what else we're looking at here, and we'll put something else up here to help give us a little more information. But I just want to give you an idea of kind of how this has been set up. We've got a trend line here on the bottom, and we've got a trend line here on the top. And then I've added in this purple. And I just want to make sure you can see this okay. Okay, well, let's do this. In the purple, what I've done is I've added in where the trend line, let me see, it hits the trend line there, hits the trend line there. So we've got 3 confirmations on the trend line in that purple, right? 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 confirmations in this trend line on the bottom. 1, 2, call it 3 in here. Okay. So I've set up my RSI here, my relative strength index at the bottom, and you can see that's the way I have it set up. It's been pretty accurate here, so I'm feeling confident with that. And we can add one more thing in here. And just to be consistent, we'll add it right there. Okay, it's not pinpointed, but it's pretty should be pretty good. And if we look at that cycle, what we've got is we've broken through this support level right here, which was at the $10,000 range. We're sitting right now at about 94. And what I don't like about this is, you know what? I'm going to bring it back over here. Sorry. This is what this is what I've been using, so this is what I'm going to use. Oops, let me take that off. So I'm going to change this here and bring it over to here, because that's kind of what we've been looking at anyway in here. So let's bring it to there and use that, because I think it tells us a little different story on what's going on. Okay. Now if I use the same indicator here, let's see how that changes up. I haven't looked at that in a while. Right in there somewhere. Okay. All right. So, yeah, it tells the story a little bit. So these are some of our support levels in here. These lines, this one right here, you can see we tested that and came back down. We've got this support level in here, 5,000. The lowest that we've seen recently is 6,500. So if we look at kind of the cycles, and this lines up pretty well, right? If we said this is where we broke through that trend line, this is where we broke up through that trend line, and then we hit a bottom here, and close to where we broke through that trend line again, and now we're looking at this one, right, on, you know, kind of the determining factor on where things are going to happen. Now, what I think is going to happen is we're just going to keep going down this trend line here on price, right? This 1 week average trend line came up, and it looks like it's trailing back down. The RSI is telling us that it's trailing back down, and theoretically somewhere in here at this level is where it would start coming back up, which happens to coincide with right here on this line. So date-wise, we're looking at February 28th for something to happen. And this could go two ways, right? We could just continue down this direction, and the next support that we would find is right in here at 5,000, okay? And I'll talk about sentiment here in a minute, because I think that's going to play an important role in this. Or we get into this range and we just, that's where we start coming back up again, okay? That's where we start heading north. And if we do start heading north in here, then this will be our next line to look at for resistance. If we break through there, then pretty much the sky's the limit. So right now I'm looking at the 28th as the date, or right around in there, that we see something happen, and I'm looking at Bitcoin being somewhere in that $8,000 range right around that date. So if you were to say, where should I get into Bitcoin, I'd say you could make an entry somewhere in that 885 range, see what happens there in that timeline, and see if we start going back up or if we continue to move down. If we continue to move down, I think you may want to just wait and see what happens sometime in the beginning of March to the price. I don't think we're going to hit that $5,000 mark. I just don't think anyone out there, that the community as a whole, is going to let it drop down that far. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to look at this as a good buying opportunity. But again, if the sentiment is that they're reading the same chart that I am and it could go down to 5, they may wait. So we'll see what happens. So that's kind of, I'm not a financial advisor. I feel pretty confident in my technical skills here, but it's a waiting game, right? We'll see what happens. Hope that helped you out. If you don't understand what RSI is, you don't understand what moving average is, you don't understand how the trend lines work and all of that, obviously dive into it a little deeper and make your own determinations. But I'm going to leave you with that, and then we're going to see here in the next few days how accurate I am. Thanks a lot.